Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to episode number 7 of Pureblu Spotlight. Hello, Manish. How are you doing today?
Very good, Ajit. How are you? Hard to believe. 7
Absolutely good.
episodes. Wow. Almost 2 months of this. No, what am I saying?
Absolutely,
7 months
man.
of this. Yeah.
So 7 months, yeah, one in a month. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, to all the viewers who are joining us for the first time, Manish and me are the founders of Pureblu. Pureblu is primarily, and these spotlights are not about talking about our products and services and everything. We kind of tend to talk about the reliability, accountability, and productivity, which are the three founding pillars of Pureblu. And today we're going to talk about technology, HVAC&R, air conditioning, refrigeration, ventilation, and IoT, Internet of Things. How is the future going to be about it? How the two of them connect? And for our viewers, before we get to that discussion, Pureblu has got two product lines. One is SaaS, which is for the service providers who provide air conditioning services. And we also have Smart AMC and IoT-based annual maintenance contracts for our customers who are multi-locational, multi-product, a one-stop solutions for air conditioning services. So let's get straight and dive deep over the next 30 minutes into our topic. And today is all about IoT. And I'm going to let Manish talk about it because he set the entire IoT process in the company. So Manish, over to you and tell us how in the pandemic you led that whole project, and how did we go about building the whole IoT device and the product? Over to you, Manish.
Yes. So actually, the whole idea of the IoT product was something that I was thinking about, and I wasn't really sure, how it would come about. And then all of a sudden, the pandemic happened. But let's kind of rewind a little bit back. We talk about technology, and one of the things that we have decided, working together was because, you really know the space on the HVAC side, and I really kind of know more on the technology side. So one of the things was this was early in May 2019, before the world went crazy, so everything was normal. And I was reading some of these HVAC journals that you had given me, and I was just kind of leafing through them. And one of them talked about energy consumption and energy monitoring and energy metering. I didn't think anything of it. Then I kind of thought about it, and then I think you had mentioned something where a large part of most commercial enterprises, their electricity bill, a large chunk of it is around air conditioning. And I was like, wow, okay, how much is a big chunk? And I think you had mentioned anywhere from 35 to 50%. And that's when I kind
Close
of
to
realized
70%. Manish,
70%.
is almost 70% is just about energy consumption is from air conditioning now, because primarily lights have moved towards LED, right? So they become so air conditioning portion has just increased, and that's how it is.
So even more so. And the thing is, so that explains why they were discussing this in this HVAC journal around energy metering and energy monitoring. So I kind of looked at it. I played around, I kind of looked at what they were doing. So then I said, let me put together my own proof of concept and start building something like that. But I remember we had a discussion, and I think one of your things was, let's not just build technology for technology's sake. And I think that's my issue always is I'm a technology person, and I always feel like, all I have is a hammer, and because of that, everything looks like a nail. I just want to hit anything, with technology, and it may not even be useful for it, but I just want to do it for the sake of it. And I think one of the things you had mentioned, you had said this a long time ago, is I don't want something that is like a check engine light, because when the check engine light goes on, it could be one of a million things. And what's the point, So yeah, something's wrong. Thanks for that. But, why don't you give me a little bit more information? And having a check engine light makes sense maybe 20 years ago when we didn't have a lot of the technology. Now today in a car, that check engine light should give you much more technology and much more, information because of the technology. So, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, let me make sure that whatever we build, has some relevance in the air conditioning space. So one is, the technology side, map it to the real world, and then in the real world, what actually happens in the real world. If something breaks, you want, somebody to basically come and fix something, and that entire thing should be streamlined. So I said, let's do this in phases. The first thing is let's try to build a device that can actually just monitor the energy consumption, because at least give people a daily understanding of what their bill is. Because when you get the bill at the end of the month, you don't really remember what you did on a Monday or Tuesday for the last 30 days. So the problem is people just look at the bill and go, oh my God, things are, really high compared to the month before. And that doesn't really help you. It's much better if you can kind of get that information on a daily basis and an hourly by hourly basis. So anyways, so this was back in May, like I said, May 2019. So in June, July, I started looking at some of the technology. So I started playing around with the three large cloud platforms that are Amazon Web Services, Azure, and Google Cloud Platform. Then I started playing around with what they call microcontrollers, MCUs. So this is an example of an MCU. This is from a company called Expressive. They're one of the largest. And there are other companies such as NXP. A lot of these guys have what they call these little computer controllers that really work with these IoT devices. So you kind of take the IoT device and then you basically give it to an application, and then you have that data sent to a cloud platform like AWS or Azure or GCP. So anyways, we were kind of going down this path. So this was in June, July. I was kind of creating a proof of concept, created it. And then in July, I remember I came to you July 2019, and I said, hey, I think I've got a really good product. We need to now go get this made in China, because that's what I expected. China's the place to go. And you kind of said, no, I actually know someone that does this in Bombay. And I was like, yeah, no, not possible. That's not happening. So anyways, you said, no, let me connect with this person. And we actually, I think it was a Monday, I think we had that call. We were in the office together when we actually were able to meet people back then. So we were discussing it, and you said, hey, let me just call somebody and let's see what we can do. So you call that person, and I said, yeah, why don't you come on over and let me take a look at what you're doing. And so we met that person, and his name is Samir, and he's got a company called Select based in New Bombay, and that was in November 2019. So and they're a very large company. So first of all, I didn't expect someone like that to kind of help us, because they're our first batch would have been like maybe 100 or 200 devices, as a test, and they were willing to do that. And these guys are normally doing 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 products every week or every month. So we met with them, and they said, sure, we'll help you out. And I think that's because you had an existing relationship with him. And they've got a world-class facility, and if you go there, you almost feel like you're probably in China, because the machines are all high tech. Everything it's unbelievable. I didn't expect that. So we started working with them in November 2019 is when we met them. So we started working with them, and finally we went back and forth, and then we get a pre-production model from them in February 2020. So yay, we get something, but not so yay, because then all of a sudden the entire world just shut down. So we were kind of like, okay, what do we do? So this was the device that they actually ended up making for us. So this is what it looks like. So it's a Wi-Fi meter, and here is where the three main leads from your distribution board go. And what this device does is it allows you to basically monitor your energy consumption on a minute-by-minute basis. And then what we do is we create reports every day that gets sent to the customer. So the first thing is, without knowing anything about the consumption, you really can't do much around fixing something. So this is step one. So what we do now is we basically, you get this installed, and this is with your annual maintenance contract, and you get this installed, and then you get a daily report that we send every day to you, that tells you in hourly chunks what was the most usage. There you go. That's a perfect example of what the report looks like. So it kind of tells you, and it compares it to the previous week. So you can kind of compare here. This is an example of it's comparing this on a Thursday. So this was Thursday, this Thursday, and then the previous Thursday, and it can kind of tell you when people kind of came to the office. You can see people started entering the office around 8 a.m. and then people left around 6 p.m. And then it tells you what was the consumption. And then, of course, we map it back to the total energy cost. And now you can say, you know what, on 9th December 2021, the energy cost for that office was 246 rupees. Now that gives you a basis of understanding what your total energy costs are. And then you can start multiplying it. That's the first step. But the reality is, now this is all working great. Now, what happens when something goes wrong with one of your HVAC units? Right now, what ends up happening is you just don't know what's wrong. So you end up calling somebody, and that's where things kind of break down. You call somebody, they may not know where, they may not have a database of information. So at least with Pureblu, what ends up happening is when somebody calls us, we say, yes, we know where you're located. What air conditioning unit is the problem? Okay, fine. We will send out a technician. So at least all of that is automated. But the problem is that linkage of, something is wrong with the air conditioning unit to sending a technician. And that is I would call that's the last mile solution that we're actually now working on. So that what ends up happening is if something goes wrong with your air conditioning unit, or it's not functioning at peak optimum performance, it'll actually send a trouble ticket automatically to Pureblu, and then we generate the trouble ticket, and then we can actually send out somebody to your location to get it fixed. And that's all because of the technology that we built. One is because of this IoT device, and then second is because of the platform that we have. And then the third piece to this that's kind of not there yet is in the air conditioning units, there would be a little bit of additional intelligence that would connect to the Pureblu system. So that is what we've had been working on during pre-pandemic, and now because of the pandemic, we realize more and more people now want this solution, because what ends up happening is some people would say, oh, it's okay, I can just send my guy, he can take a look at the energy reading every day and I'll come to know. Now obviously that may or may not happen, and now you want to automate that process. So that's really the whole idea of what the Pureblu offering is, to kind of aggregate all of that, and basically make it all streamlined, and don't have, this idea like, before you had Swiggy and Uber, you would order something, you'd have to tell them where you're located, all of that. Now they know exactly where you are, and very rarely will you get a call saying, where are you located? Now they know exactly where you are, and that's exactly what we do with Pureblu. So that is on the technology side. So that is all the technology side. Now the question is from Ajit, you've had a lot of people reach out to you, because for us to build this IoT platform, I wouldn't say it was easy, but it wasn't like rocket science. Let's be realistic, So I know a lot of people have reached out to you because obviously being in the industry, they kind of say, hey, I've built this IoT platform. What's your response been to them?
So, Manish, first of all, I think we got into it, we put up pandemic, and I think all that goes into you because you took that lead and you just made sure that it went through. It was an exciting phase to actually build and roll it out to the customers and customer acquisition. We had so many now customers and we were able to launch Smart AMC, right? A product which is just not available in the market. And we have so many customers who signed up with us. And all that business is going to all our SaaS users, right? Across those 10 cities, we have these dealers who are using our platform and they're benefiting from that leads. Now, having been in the industry, one of the things now from a tech perspective, what I've realized is there's so many startups that are actually building IoT platforms. And every platform which is for the IoT has to have a focus on the HVAC segment. So they talk about the air conditioning industry, the ventilation because of indoor air quality, and of course, refrigeration because of the cold chain and the impacts it has on perishable goods and everything. Now, here's the problem. I have been in this industry for almost 25 years. We have done so much of BMS systems, the building management systems, whether it is hospitality, large malls, commercial offices. One of the things that we have learned is all of these BMS systems generate alerts. Fascinating. When it is installed, commissioned, and handed over, they love the alerts. That's a 30-day period. After the 30-day period, the engineering head or whoever is supposed to look at those alerts, he starts getting irritated. He says, what do I do with these alerts? I don't want to pick up these alerts and keep calling up, because there has to be a human intervention. If there is an alert which says that, look, the power consumption is going up beyond your set norm, something needs to be done. He says, what am I supposed to do? Somebody needs to do it. And now I can't keep talking to the service provider. And the service provider says, everything is okay, what alert? He doesn't understand the impact of the alert. So the challenge that most of these IoT platforms have is they generate alerts. That's it. And I was talking to a customer about a week ago, and he says, Ajit, I love these IoT platforms. They're great and everything. And he had a very simple question. He said, how does it save money for me? And I think that's what the customers are looking for. How does it save money for me? What he actually meant is that I need my breakdowns to reduce. That is where the problem area is. I need my energy consumption to reduce. I don't want to be told that please check. I want somebody to check it. So most of these IoT platforms actually reach out to us saying that, can you be resellers because you've got your customers, you can do it. But what we are saying is look at it differently. All these guys have built a package and sell this platform on a subscription base at a fairly large amount. And the customers are left wondering, am I saving money or am I spending more money? And that's the big question that he's all asking. And what needs to be actually done is, if you open up the APIs and you work it with Pureblu, we can actually resell it, of course, as a upsell to the part of the annual maintenance contracts and sell it in piecemeal, because somebody needs power consumption, somebody needs humidity control, somebody needs temperature control, somebody needs modulation, somebody needs for chillers, somebody needs it for VR. They need, the requirements are different. Why sell the entire package? We can actually streamline it and sell it to all these people. And here's the beauty. Every time an alert is generated, Pureblu can take up that alert and act on it instantly. Our platform can instantly act. And what is it? We can actually allocate the right technician or the engineer with the right skill based on the alert, based on the type of the product, and actually send him to it. Now, that's a wow factor for a customer. He saves money because his number of breakdowns have started going down. Now, think of a hotel, right? A hotel, the more the breakdowns, the more discomfort to a customer, especially most hotels look at 80%, 90% occupancy. Look at restaurants. Would you sit in a restaurant if the air conditioning fails? No, business walks out. So if you can reduce that, that's saving money. That's increasing his revenue. That's the approach that we need to have. The other thing, Manish, what I've learned is all these guys talk about predictive maintenance. Okay. We need to have predictive maintenance, that we have enough data and we're going to predict the maintenance over a period of time using AI ML. Fantastic. But who are you selling it to? You're selling it to a customer. What does a customer do with predictive maintenance? I mean, What is he going to do with that predictive? He says, dude, I don't even understand what this is. Who should be actually benefiting from the predictive maintenance? The service provider. And that's the people whom we have on our platform. So can we take that predictive maintenance and offload it to a service provider as a value feature? Because when he knows predictive maintenance, what he's going to do is he's going to act on it quickly. Why? Because the annual maintenance contracts, the benefit, if the equipments don't fail, the profitability is for the service provider. So he will immediately act on it and he will say that, listen, I need to make money. I need to make sure the equipment doesn't fail. And if there are certain alerts which are coming, which is showing that there are certain failures that is going to come, then I can work on it quickly. And in the whole process, the customer also benefits because he gets great service without his intervention. Now, this is the marriage between the IoT platform and services that is required. About 70 to 80% of the alerts that are generated requires human intervention. And most of the time, and this is a learning from all the BMS systems that we have actually been building, which we have done. It's sad, but most of these alerts over a period of time has been shut down. People don't use it. People get tired of these alerts. They don't want to keep it running. They change the configuration, and then it just becomes a report that every month I need to generate a report. And the dashboard generates it. So the engineering heads and the facility guys just download it, and they've got some KPIs around it, and they use it for that. Nobody's benefited in this yet. Nobody is benefited in this. I mean, we're not solving the real problem, because if you are able to cut down on energy consumption, if you are able to make sure the breakdowns are less, that's a great thing from an environment perspective. You're adding value proposition everywhere, and the customers benefit, service providers benefit, and the environment at large benefit. And here's the big thing. Not just the IoT data, which is coming from the equipment. What about the history of the machine in terms of its breakdowns, the age of the machine, which parts have failed? Marry these two data together and magic can happen. Can you know, with all this data over the next decade or so, we can give information to most of these large manufacturers as to what's going wrong. How can we build a better product? And that's what we need to do. And so from a long-term perspective, that data can be used to actually say that, listen, this is the kind of problems that you're having. This and simple data. For example, our platform has got all brands and all types of air conditioning. Now, if brand A has got a certain kind of failure, while brand B does not have that failure, isn't that information important for branding? Can't they both learn from each other? As of now, there's no ecosystem for that. And we can build that ecosystem and make sure we have more energy efficient and more innovative products, and everyone stands to benefit. And especially in a country like India, where energy is a crisis, whether you like it or you don't like it, it is in a
Yeah.
crisis mode. And we need to save every bit of it. And HVAC is 70%. So these are my thoughts on this, Manish. And I think most of these IoT platforms, and I think every IIT or every tech engineering company has got a startup around IoT platform. That's the buzzword. But I
Yeah.
think there is a clear disconnect from what a customer really wants. He needs the IoT platform, but he needs action on these alerts. Someone needs to solve these alerts these IoT devices give, or somebody needs to act on the data that is coming. And that piece is missing. And that's where we can step in, open our APIs, and all these companies can actually plug into it. We can be resellers like they want us to be resellers, because we've got both sides. We've got customers, we've got service providers, both of them, but we can sell it in piecemeal, sell what is required for each person. If that's a solution that can come, then it'll be brilliant. And I think everyone stands to benefit. What's your say on this, Manish?
No, I think you're absolutely correct. See, I think, like you mentioned, everybody has an IoT platform out there. And, if you go to any university in India, there are probably 10 people working on it, because that is part of it is it's a new technology and it's a buzzword. But the reality is, in the end of it, what's the business driver for it? So I look at it from, what I call AAA. One is the aggregation of data. Two is the analytics of the data. And then three is the actionable data. So aggregation, everybody does a lot of aggregation. We're doing aggregation. We're getting information about a lot of air conditioning units, a lot of energy consumption now. The analytics is, so analytics is the word, but the buzzword is AI ML. What do you do with that information? So that's the analytics piece. So that is, of course, everybody talks about it, but very little is being done about that right now. People say, oh, because of AI ML, I can kind of give you predictability of your machines. But the third piece, that's the big piece, and that is action. What are you actually doing? And out of the actionable in the HVAC space, a lot of it, like you said, 80% of it is what they call it, in the US, they call it a truck roll, but here in India, a service visit, So a visit needs to be done. And how do you manage that? And that's really what we do with the Pureblu platform. Is we've got, on one end, we're doing the aggregation part, and then the other side, we're doing the action, which is we can send a technician out. But the problem is, everyone is focusing on one part or the other, and what's missing is that entire linkage of all three. And more than anything is, how do you get that, that force, that service technician force to kind of do and map it to the right skill set, and also be able to get someone out there. Because just like I said, people are using apps like Swiggy and Uber. When it says that the driver is reaching your house in 5 minutes, or that delivery is taking 10 minutes, people want that also with their service delivery of, HVAC services. Hey, I've got a machine that's down, and because it's down, my restaurant is not functioning. So when is that guy coming? So people want to see it on the app, hey, that guy's going to be here in 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And that's really what we're trying to do. But yeah, the fact is, everyone is looking at that space. But as far as something that's businessable, as I call it, or that you can charge revenue for, that's what's missing. And I think the because of that, the missing piece is on the services piece, where what, you've got something wrong, and we can actually help you fix it because we know it, and we have the right technician to do it. And that is really when IoT really takes off, is when that entire ecosystem is built. And you just have technicians, you've got service providers, and in the middle is a software platform that's managing everything and basically allocating people based on that. And more importantly, we can actually, reliability and serviceability will also come into it, because today, if you've got a machine that is consistently not working, you may know that because you've sent the technician out there many times, but at an aggregate level, you kind of don't know that. So that is where a lot of the technology and managing it comes into play, is that you can say, hey, this machine consistently has issues, so maybe let's take a specific look at this issue. Do we need to replace it, or is there something wrong with this machine? Now, if that same machine model across 50 other installs has the same issue, then you can go back to the manufacturer and say, hey, you know what, it's just not one machine, it's 50 of your units of this. Let me give you this data back to you, and maybe there's something you can do with it. And that's really what we're trying to focus on. And I think that will be a game changer when you can actually take this automated action and turn it into a serviceable visit, and that entire process is automated. Yeah. And that's what we're really trying to do. And that all started because of this IoT device. That's really what it was, because we kind of launched it, and now it's happening, and now people realize that there's more and more technology. And I think that's what really people are now realizing, is there is definitely a marriage between the technology side, and because, like you said, the cost driver side, 70% of your energy consumption is HVAC. That is huge. That's a big thing. There's a reason why we should be putting more technology around it, and that's the reason why IoT, people are flocking to it, but they have still yet to figure out a real revenue model where companies are paying for it. I have seen many large companies install these products, and then, like you said, they end up just turning off all the notifications because they're annoying and it doesn't really help us. So that's kind of what we're trying to fix.
Another important thing, to Manish, what you said, from my experience that I've been in this industry, you do now, say for example, there's a VRF system or a chiller that you do. You can get the LawnWorks backnet, and you get an entire central controller which you can connect to your building management system and everything. You'll be surprised. They pay quite a bit of money for that. And do you know how much of that they use? They use just 10% of it, but they don't have a choice, because they say, I don't need 80% of those features. Right. Now that's your customer requirement. Why can't we sell it? It's like the music industry, right? Earlier, I need to buy the CD. Whether I liked only one song, I had to buy the CD, and iTunes changed it. You could buy just one song. And that's exactly what we need to do. There are customers who have specific requirements. Why can't we just sell them only that requirement? You can charge a little premium on that, and you'll still happily pay for it, and you can still make more money. That's a concept that needs to change. We need to approach this differently, and it has to be actionable, not just alerts. It has to be actionable. And that's what we've done. We're not charging for the IoT. We are saying that it's free with the smart AMC. With the annual maintenance contract, you get that IoT device free. Let's save money. Let's save energy. Let's stay friendly with the environment and still build innovation around it. And I think that's the spirit. And to I know I can see a lot of my people who are in the IoT business who's actually attending this and who's listening. This is the biggest stake. You're building great products. Most of these companies are doing some fabulous stuff, but we need to move it one step ahead. It has to be actionable, and it has to be broken down into those one single numbers, not selling it as a package. That doesn't work, and that's what they don't use. So that's from our side. I think we just have another 2 minutes to go to close this event, but I think we kind of put our thoughts out there as to what we think as a company in terms of IoT. Happy to hear from you guys. You have a lot of people who've been writing to us, seeing our programs, and please write to us. Tell us what you think about it. Tell us something that we missed out on. Tell us about areas that you think we should talk about, or areas of interest, both from a digitization perspective or from an air conditioning and refrigeration perspective. And I think the IoT devices are here to stay. They're going to play a very huge role. You can read the India Cooling Action Plan, which has got an entire chapter on this as to what the future is going to look like. That's from the Government of India, Ministry of Environment. And before we wind up, we are always happy for sales. And two important things. If you are a service provider, you can reach out to us. That's the number on the screen. That's the email ID. Our team would be happy to give you a demo and show you some case studies of how people have been using it. So feel free to get in touch with us. And everybody has an air conditioner, and air conditioners should be well maintained because they are energy guzzlers. And if you maintain an air conditioner very well, you can actually save close to about 15 to 20%. And the best thing that you can go for is smart AMC, an AMC with a free IoT device that gives you energy consumption details. And that's the number on the screen and the email ID. Feel free to reach out to us, and we will be very happy to give you the details on that. So thank you very much. We are going to see you back again on the 9th of April, Manish, with another topic. And so thank you for being with us. We've had a lot of viewers today. Please do write to us. We'll be happy to hear from you. Thank you very much. And that puts 30 minutes to us. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Take care. Till the next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye. See you.